Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. After the May elections, the BJP was widely expected to sweep the by-elections in Bihar, Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh, but that hasn't happened. It suffered losses in Bihar, reverses in Karnataka, and it's failed to make gains in Madhya Pradesh. On the other hand, the Congress-JDU-RJD combination has won nearly two-thirds of the seats in Bihar, and Congress itself has done commendably in Karnataka and Punjab. So what does this tell us about the mood of the electorate, and what impact will it have on Indian politics? My guests are JDU Rajya Sabha MP Pavan Verma, BJP spokesperson Lalita Kumaramangalam, one of Bihar's foremost political analysts Saibal Das Gupta, and the well-known senior journalist and columnist Siddharth Bhatia. Lalita Kumaramangalam, let's start with Bihar, where 10 by-elections were held. In 2010, you won 6 of these seats. In May this year, if you judge by the national election results, you would still have won 6 of these seats. But today, you've only won 4. Do you accept that's a clear sign, A, that the Modi magic isn't working, at least at the same way as it was earlier, and secondly, that the Lalu Yadav-Nitish Kumar combination has checked you?
Karan, let me not engage in platitudes at the moment. The truth is that we are disappointed with the assembly results, except in Madhya Pradesh and perhaps Punjab. The rest of it we are not very happy with. But there is a couple of points that we need to keep in mind. A, that generally and quite often in India, the electorate votes differently at the state level and at the center. The Modi, so-called Modi magic, as is being phrased, worked at the parliament election level. Obviously, there are problems in the states that have gone to bypolls where we haven't done as well as we expected and we definitely wanted to.
Okay,
however, yes, whenever a party that's expected to win a lot of the seats, if we don't, it means that we must introspect and examine the factors why we've lost. But I think it's too soon to just pass judgment saying that the Modi magic hasn't worked.
Okay,
people
that's a fair point.
Voting for Modi in those elections.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Let's not come to a conclusion. But clearly, this is a suggestive indication. Let me bring in Pavan Verma and put the opposite to you. Going by your combined vote share of 44.3% against the BJP and their allies' combined vote share of roughly 39%, analysts say that you should have actually swept all 10 seats. Will you be equally honest as Lalita Kumaramangalam was and accept that you haven't performed up to your expectations or your potential?
Let me make 2 points to you, Karan. First of all, we came very close, in my view, to winning 8 out of the 10 seats. 1 seat, Baka, we lost by a margin of 700 votes. And I think in the 8th seat, there was a problem with the candidate chosen. We could have won the seat. We probably would have, but there were factors that worked against.
Okay.
Anyway, the point is, so soon after an election where the BJP and its somewhat contradictory allies swept the state, you have assembly elections where you would normally expect the sheer momentum of the quantum of that victory to continue. And that too in those assembly constituencies which were actually much more the BJP stronghold. And you have a situation where the alliance has managed to win 6 out of those 10 and just almost won the 7th as well.
Okay.
So it's been a rather unequal thing. And I think it sends a message not only to the BJP, not only to Bihar, but to the rest of India, and I'll be as frank as Lalita ji, that the BJP has taken advantage of the fact that the political opposition to it is often divided.
Okay.
And the magic wand that Mr. Modi waved, when contrasted with
Can I stop you? Can I stop you? Let me stop you. I'll come to the wider lessons for the country as a whole in a moment's time, because I think those are very important lessons to take. But let's still focus for a while on Bihar before we broaden. Saibal Das Gupta, you're getting a very clever argument from Pavan Verma that given the very short history of this alliance between Lalu and Nitish Kumar, they've done really very well. Do you agree that they've done very well, or do you think in comparison to what their potential could be given their dominant vote share, the outcome is disappointing? Which way do you tilt?
In my opinion, the victory, no doubt, is quite a path-breaking. But I won't say that the victory has been substantially comprehensive, because technically they should have swept the poll because of the formidable combination of Lalu Prasad and Nitish Kumar. But I think one has to ponder that while there has been a union at the top level, possibly there is need to do lot of grassroots homework to make the combination work at the booth level or at the constituency level.
In other words,
historically these two combination has been quite antagonistic for a long time. Possibly it will take some time, but there is no doubt that the victory of 6 seats out of 10 is a warning to BJP that they have almost arrived, and they have arrived in a very formidable way, and that we need to understand the future contour of the Indian politics.
Absolutely. You know, Siddharth Bhatia, we're talking about this concept of a warning to the BJP, and Mr. Dasgupta indicates that in fact this is a very sizable and loud warning. Let me put it like this. In May 2014, the BJP and its allies won 31 out of 40 seats in Bihar, which is actually 77% of the total. This time, their share of the 10 seats was just 40% of the total. No matter how much of a gloss you put on it, would that not be bad news for any party?
You know, first I'd like to just advance a proposition. What if the BJP in Bihar and elsewhere, but Bihar certainly, had won, say, 6 or 7? The situation as it stands today would have been a bit the reverse.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that there would have been a lot of talk about the Modi magic continuing. We must also not forget that the Congress swept the Uttarakhand bypolls.
I'll come to that later. So, stick to Bihar for now.
I think these are, okay. So I think that there is definitely some, the signs are very much there that vote share and seats do not always correspond, and they play very strange tricks at the end. But when the secular parties, so-called secular parties, got together, enemies they may be, but they got together for this particular purpose, and they have still a lot of ground to cover, and they brought in the Congress also, this Maha organization that they created, alliance. The BJP's weaknesses became apparent. So the BJP had, even in the general elections, as 31%, had there been strategic alliances elsewhere, maybe the picture would have been slightly different. But certainly at the state level, when you consider that these two have been chief ministers, they managed to show that united we can really stand, and divided we have fallen. And this unity is something that will be noticed by various parties all over the country, UP certainly, and maybe in other places also.
Lalita Kumaramangalam, the truth is, it's not just in Bihar that your party has suffered what I call a setback. In Karnataka, you've lost Bellary by 34,000 votes, and you've just squeezed home in Shikaripura by a miserable 4,000 or 5,000 votes. In Madhya Pradesh, you failed to retain Bahoriband, and in Punjab, your ally failed to take Patiala. The very lady who lost the parliamentary constituency of Patiala now won the MLA constituency. So clearly, this word setback applies not just to Bihar, it applies right across the board to all the 18 by-elections that have happened.
No, here I don't agree with you, Karan. In Karnataka, I think Bellary was always going to be a problem for us. And don't forget that Siddharamaiah has just been elected.
Why is Yediyurappa disappointed? Why is Yediyurappa disappointed? He's gone on air to say so.
No, he's still not gotten over the honeymoon period.
No, but why is Yediyurappa disappointed?
All these factors need to be taken into account. Mr. Yediyurappa has been out of the government for some time now. He's just now come back as an MP. So I think it would be unfair to expect miracles from him at such a short time. But in Karnataka too, we have been disappointed. Not as much as in Bihar, but in Karnataka too, we expected to do better than we have. However, in Punjab, it's no great surprise that she is won in the assembly where she lost in the parliament seat. because I think they were very clear about which assembly they chose, and she was expected to win. In Madhya Pradesh, we've just lost one seat. We can't expect us to win.
She's
all
the Maharani
seats
of Patiala,
always.
which is why you expected to win the Patiala MLA seat. But why is Maharani of Patiala, do you not expect her to win the parliamentary seat from Patiala? The logic applies both ways. She lost one, she won the other.
Because, Karan, people there were, as I said, were voting for the centre, and this is a different, they are voting for the assembly.
All right.
Very often there is a difference. As you know, it happens in Tamil Nadu, it happens in many states across the country.
Pavan Verma, let me put this to you. You heard Saibal Das Gupta, who's a great admirer, if not a supporter in theory of the alliance you've put together, say that the real problem is your alliance may have gelled at the leadership level, but just a moment, I'll come back to you.
Permit me, I
will, but it hasn't gelled at the ground level. Do you realize that that is now where you need to work?
Karan,
and would one way of doing it be to bring Lalu into your government, or at least Lalu's party into your government?
The RJD is already supporting the JDU government. Secondly, I think there is no doubt that what has yielded results now needs to be strengthened on the ground. Political activity is not merely about high-sounding alliances at the apex level. We need to be able to build a cadre and a ground-based response to the BJP, because I want to say this clearly, Karan, and I am not saying it in a partisan spirit. The cadre of the BJP at the ground level works to polarize the electorate entirely on religious grounds. It's not a good omen for India.
Okay.
It's not good for Hindus or for Muslims, because it affects the safety, security, prosperity and good governance of the country as a whole. We are seeing it in UP, it was done in Bihar, and to counter it, we need to strengthen this alliance on the ground. I'll be the first person to admit it, and we hope to do it before the next assembly election.
Okay. Saibal Das Gupta, let's take a slightly broader picture in the very limited time left to us. In Bihar, it was clearly a combination of JDU, RJD in Congress that checked the BJP. No one thought it was likely when the May election results came out, but it's actually worked pretty effectively. Is there a message here for the rest of the country, particularly for the two people who dominate UP alongside the BJP, Mayawati and Mulayam Singh?
Sir, essentially there are two messages which has been conveyed. One, that the appeal of the BJP and Narendra Modi has slightly diminished. One should not write it off. But one thing, the Bihar message is that essentially Lalu and Nitish Kumar, there is no essential contradiction between these two groups, because they essentially represent the broadest section of the poor and the marginal.
Okay.
So there is no antagonistic contradiction. Now, if they gel fully, they will become a very lethal combination, and this can be replicated at a national level very well in other parts of the country, especially in the Hindi heartland. My contention is that even in the case of UP, the essential contradiction between Mayawati and Mulayam Singh Yadav is not very resounding. So possibly the Bihar model can be replicated if there is a serious effort to stall BJP at a national level.
Absolutely.
The script of the Hindi heartland, will be written in other parts of the country as well, because the Hindi heartland has been the core base of BJP historically.
I take your point. Siddharth Bhatia, perhaps the critical word in Saibal Das Gupta's analysis was the word if. And we all have to assume that that if will become a reality. But if it does, do you see a replication in reverse of the politics India witnessed in the 70s and 80s? In the 70s and 80s, it was Congress versus the rest. Now, is it a case of BJP versus the rest? Siddharth Bhatia?
Sorry, is that to me?
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, you'll have to repeat you, Karan. I'm sorry. Your
Siddharth
voice is
Bhatia, I said
cracking.
that what we saw in the 70s and 80s was a case of Congress versus the rest. Are we now coming into a period where it is going to be BJP versus the rest? Give me a short, sharp answer because we're running out of time. No, I don't
Sorry,
think so.
audio is really bad.
I don't think
really
Siddharth
sorry
Bhatia can
about
hear me.
that.
Let me go. We answer that question for me, Pavan Verma. We've got an audio problem with Mumbai.
I
I'm
believe
still
that
waiting.
in a democracy, Karan, there is a space and a need and an imperative to create a non-BJP democratic opposition which is credible and which, along with religious and social harmony and inclusive growth,
Okay.
promises good governance. It is a historic necessity for parties to overcome their past weaknesses and bring this together as a check to a government which is in power with an absolute majority
Okay.
and which is already beginning to show that it cannot fulfill the extravagance of the promises it has made
All right.
in order to cash the anti-incumbency mood against the Congress.
Let me, in all fairness, give
we
that.
need that. This
Okay.
is a democracy.
Absolutely, I
Bihar
take your
has
point.
made the beginning.
Let me, in all fairness, give the last word to Lalita Kumaramangalam because there's a very real sense that she's a minority in our guest panel today. We're coming to a situation many people believe where it's going to be a case of BJP versus the rest. Do you see that as success of Mr. Modi and his dominance and therefore in a way flattery of the BJP? Or does it worry you because it actually suggests a deep polarization at the very heart of Indian politics? Which way do you see it? But a quick answer because we are really short of time.
Karan, before I give my answer to your question, let me point out two facts before everybody starts getting
But very
too
quickly
thrilled
because we're
about
out of
having
time and I
decimated
don't want
the
to cut you
BJP.
off. So quickly.
What we have suffered is a temporary setback.
Okay.
It's not a total poll defeat because you must realize that these are bypolls.
All
They
right,
are not
point taken,
assembly
you made it
elections.
earlier. Please go to your
And,
next point.
Yeah, we have no guarantee that tomorrow the so-called secular parties are going to be fighting for the chief minister's post will be able to come together in what is today termed
Another
the
good
Maha
point.
Alliance. Right?
Another good point. Now come to my
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Are you
but-
worried that it's becoming a situation of BJP versus the rest, or do you see that as actually recognition of the dominance of the
No, we are
BJP
not
and flattery?
worried. We are not worried. We are well aware of the fact that essentially and ultimately the development agenda is going to be far more important than any other secular parties getting together to push the so-called communal agenda. Actually, we are not the ones who are talking
That's very
communal at all
reminiscent,
here.
I should say, of Indira
We are
Gandhi.
talking about
Do you know what she
development.
said? She said, "वो कहते हैं इंदिरा हटाओ, मैं कहती हूँ गरीबी हटाओ." Garibi was the mantra of development then. Mr. Modi's got a different mantra for development now, but it's the same language being spoken. Don't you find that a bit paradoxical?
We have never said Modi is India. We have said that Modi stands for the aspirational a class of India who is looking to have a better life.
All right.
And we have
Modi's
said that we
model
will
of
try and
development.
deliver on the promises
Go
that
ahead,
we have
Pavan
made.
Verma, quickly
It's
come in.
early days,
I've got 30
we
seconds
will
for you.
deliver and you will see
Pavan
that
Verma, 30
before
seconds.
the
One
next
last
parliament
point,
elections,
one
there will
last
be a
point, Karan.
difference.
Go ahead.
The privileged cannot secede to form their own republic in this country.
All right.
You can run a government, but you have to run a nation. And for that sense, Mr. Modi's development model, I believe, is flawed.
Okay.
It is entirely narrow and elitist based.
All right,
And
we've
we
run
will
out.
oppose
I'm
it
afraid
in a
those 30
constructive
seconds are over.
democratic
Forgive
way.
me, we're out of time. I have to end. My apologies to Siddharth Bhatia for the fact that the line to Mumbai collapsed. I'm afraid this is the second, maybe the third time it's happened with him. So I really do apologize very sincerely. Next time, we will make sure we don't have problems with that line. My thanks to all my four guests for joining me. And if you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.